Before you click away, understand this. What I am about to tell you might expose something you have been feeling for years but never had the words to explain. You are not exhausted because life is hard. You are exhausted because you are surrounded by people who are slowly draining you, and you have been allowing it. In the next few minutes, you are going to recognize faces. You are going to recognize conversations. You are going to recognize patterns that have been quietly sabotaging your confidence, your focus, and your ambition. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Some of the people clapping for you are secretly competing with you. Some of the people advising you are projecting their fear onto you. Some of the people closest to you are the very reason you feel stuck. But most people will never say this out loud because it is easier to blame circumstances than to confront proximity. It is easier to complain about stress than to admit you tolerate negativity. It is easier to react than to discipline your response. By the end of this video, you will not only see who is draining your energy, you will understand exactly how they do it, why you keep allowing it, and what you must do immediately to protect your future. And I promise you this, if you truly listen, if you stay until the end, you will never look at your circle the same way again. Because once you see the leak, you cannot unsee it. And once you realize how much power you have been giving away, you will never hand it over so easily again. Let's slow this down and talk about something most people completely misunderstand. You are not tired because you are weak. You are not stuck because you lack talent. You are not behind because you are incapable. You are drained. And there is a difference. Energy is not just physical stamina. It is psychological fuel. It is emotional bandwidth. It is cognitive clarity. It is the invisible resource that determines how well you think, how decisively you act, and how boldly you move. And here is the part that will challenge you. Energy is currency. Every conversation costs you something. Every argument withdraws something. Every time you explain yourself to someone committed to misunderstanding you, you pay. Most people budget their money. Very few budget their energy. You would never hand your wallet to a stranger and say, "Take what you want." Yet every day, people hand over their focus, their mood, their emotional stability to individuals who have done nothing to earn it. And then they say, "I'm just tired lately." Of course you are. When you share a dream with someone who responds with doubt, your nervous system registers threat. It activates defensiveness. It triggers the need to justify. That justification consumes cognitive resources. It creates internal tension. And tension is expensive. Psychologically, when you feel the need to defend your ambition, you split your focus. Instead of building the vision, you are protecting it. Instead of executing, you are explaining. Instead of progressing, you are arguing. That is a leak. And small leaks sink big ships. Negative people rarely destroy your ambition in one dramatic moment. They erode it, slowly. Suddenly, repeated exposure to skepticism reshapes your internal dialogue. You begin hearing their voice in your own head. Maybe it's unrealistic. Maybe I'm aiming too high. Notice what happened. Their doubt became your doubt. Energy is contagious. So is fear. If you spend 2 hours around someone who complains about everything, you leave feeling heavier. Not because they attacked you directly, but because your brain absorbs emotional tone. Human beings mirror the emotional states of those around them. It is neurological. It is automatic. So when you consistently surround yourself with criticism, sarcasm, pessimism, and small thinking, your system adapts to survive that environment. You become more cautious, less expressive, less bold, and boldness is required for growth. Let me ask you something honestly. How many times have you delayed action because you anticipated someone's reaction? You did not post the content because you imagined their comment. You did not start the project because you imagined their laugh. You did not speak up because you imagined their dismissal. You paid an emotional tax before you even moved. That is expensive. Every time you argue with someone who has already decided you are wrong, you are spending energy that could have built something. Every time you try to convince someone of your worth, you are investing in a losing market. And here is the deeper truth. When you feel compelled to prove yourself, you are operating from insecurity, not purpose. Purpose does not argue. Purpose executes. There is a psychological principle at work here. Attention amplifies. Whatever you give sustained focus to grows in influence. When you focus on defending yourself against negativity, negativity becomes central in your mental world. It occupies space meant for strategy, creativity, and courage. Your brain does not distinguish between real danger and social threat very well. Criticism can feel like danger. Rejection can feel like danger. Being mocked can feel like danger, so your body responds with stress. Stress consumes energy. Now imagine living in that environment daily. Imagine constantly navigating subtle undermining, passive-aggressive remarks, or backhanded compliments. You think you are managing it well, but internally, you are compensating, you are bracing, you are tightening. That tension accumulates. Then you sit down to work on your goals, and you feel exhausted before you begin. You call it procrastination, you call it laziness. It is depletion. Here is something people do not like to admit. Sometimes the reason you feel stuck is not lack of opportunity, it is emotional overexposure. You are overexposed to doubt, overexposed to negativity, overexposed to people who project their limitations on you. Projection is powerful. When someone has settled in their own life, your ambition confronts them. Your growth highlights their stagnation, and instead of rising, they attempt to regulate you back to their comfort level. Not because they hate you, but because your movement disrupts their equilibrium. And if you are not aware, you will shrink to preserve connection. That shrinking is expensive. You laugh less boldly. You speak less confidently. You tell yourself you are being humble. Sometimes you are just being influenced. Energy is not only drained by conflict, by editing yourself, by filtering your excitement so it does not make someone uncomfortable. Ask yourself this: who feels lighter after talking to you? And who do you feel lighter after talking to? That question alone reveals your investments. High-value exchanges multiply energy. They sharpen you, they expand your thinking, they challenge you, they celebrate your wins without calculating them. Low-value exchanges diminish energy, they compete, they compare, they subtly criticize. They leave you questioning yourself. If you want to elevate your life, audit your interactions. You cannot build a powerful future with exhausted psychology. This does not mean you hate negative people. It means you recognize the cost. It means you stop volunteering for emotional depletion. It means you become selective with your explanations, selective with your vulnerability. Not everyone deserves access to your internal world. When you stop oversharing your vision with people who cannot hold it responsibly, you preserve momentum. When you stop engaging in circular arguments, you reclaim hours of mental clarity. When you stop trying to be understood by everyone, you free yourself to act. You do not need universal agreement. You need focused execution. Energy spent proving is energy not spent producing. And production changes lives. Think about the version of you that achieves your goals. That version is not constantly defending himself. That version is not emotionally entangled in unnecessary drama. That version is disciplined about where attention goes. If energy is currency, then discipline is financial intelligence. Stop giving emotional loans to people who default every time. Redirect that investment into skill development, into strategy, into health, into silence, because silence preserves energy, and preserved energy becomes power. If you walk away with one realization today, let it be this: your exhaustion is not random. It is a reflection of where your energy is leaking. Seal the leaks, guard your focus, invest your energy where it multiplies, because the life you want is not built by the tired version of you. It is built by the protected one. Now that you understand energy is currency, we have to talk about something even more uncomfortable. Proximity shapes power. You can have discipline, you can have talent, But if your environment constantly contradicts your direction, you will feel friction every single day. Human beings are adaptive. That is our strength. It is also our vulnerability. You do not rise or fall to your intentions. You rise or fall to your environment. Look at your conversations. Look at the emotional tone of the rooms you sit in. Listen carefully to the language spoken around you. Is it solution-oriented or problem-obsessed? Is it forward-thinking or nostalgia-driven? Is it accountability-based or blame-centered? Because whatever dominates your environment will slowly dominate your thinking. And here is what most people misunderstand. You do not have to agree with negativity to be influenced by it. Repeated exposure is enough. Psychologically, the brain normalizes what it sees repeatedly. If you are constantly around people who mock ambition, ambition starts to feel extreme. If you are constantly around people who fear risk, courage starts to feel reckless. If you are constantly around people who settle, excellence starts to feel unnecessary. This is not about intelligence. It is about conditioning. You can be mentally strong and still be environmentally shaped. That is why proximity matters. You do not accidentally become exceptional. You are reinforced into it. And reinforcement requires alignment. When you sit around growth-minded individuals, something happens internally. Your standards elevate. Your excuses weaken. Your